Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Pagey here once again with another video on some DC film news. So the Flash movie, it came and it went and maybe not in a flash, but fairly quickly, and there is really no beating around the bush. It just didn't do well. It's a colossal flop, and I personally find this really disappointing as I really do like the movie. Like, it's not a 10 out of 10. It has its issues, but I still think it's a fun as hell movie overall. And based off what's coming out, like, Warner Brothers is still scratching their head in regards to what the hell happened in regards to this. How did this go so wrong? Because they were so confident with it. Because it's pretty clear it didn't flop because of its quality. I mean, it opened low. It opened at only like 50 million for a movie that was estimated like early on to be like 90 to 100. So some of those other circumstances maybe we'll looked at, in regards to the stuff outside of the film and what might have affected, people's motivations to go and see it. But that's for them to discuss and maybe, think to themselves for future instances of, if there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe deal with that situation then rather than trying to deal with it later when the house is burnt down. But in regards to the actual size of the damage, we have a final official number as The Flash officially closed out its theatrical run around the world. And though it's been out in digital markets like iTunes for a few weeks now, it's finally wrapped up where it's not in theaters anymore. Like, it had its long run of about 2 months and now it's out. It's not showing anywhere anymore. At least they're saying it's not. So The Flash finished with a domestic gross of, and you'll be able to see it on screen right now, a domestic gross of just over $108 million and an international gross of just over $160 million, which of course we have our mathematical brains. We can put that together and it totals a worldwide total of just over $268 million, which is, a lot of money. You're going like, hey, I could do it $268 million. Pass it over here. But unfortunately, just that base number just covers the budget of the film. The budget of the film was around, or reportedly around, $200 million. So yeah, that only just covers that. But of course, it's very important to remember that studios only get about 50% roughly of box office sales. So you have to do a considerable amount more than what your budget is to break even and then start turning into profit. And then of course you have to include advertising as well. So yeah, The Flash, you can just tell from those base numbers, has lost quite a bit of money, unfortunately. So the film, based off estimations roughly, reportedly lost a tad over $203 million. Insane. That's the best way to put it. Insane. And this is also heavily compounded on top of by the fact that the previous 5 movies, or the 5 DC movies before this, also lost money. They also maybe didn't flop, but they lost money. They didn't break even and start, producing profit. And unfortunately, another new one is on the road as well, but we'll get to that in a second after we stop talking about The Flash. Now, the silver lining with all of this, if there is one, and this is mainly on the Warner Brothers side of things, is that Barbie has come out and is on track to be the biggest Warner Brothers movie of all time at the box office. Domestically, it already is within the United States. It's number one. I think Dark Knight was number one, I think, before, and now Barbie took over domestically. It's sort of weird, the rankings there. Like, Dark Knight's like number 4 or 5 overall for, I think, Warner Brothers. So anyway, Barbie's now top of domestic, but at the moment it's still second behind Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, but Barbie's only like 65 million behind that. So they'll probably end up taking over Harry Potter within like the next week or 2 weeks, maybe a week, depending if things go well, but at least next 2 weeks roughly. So it's going to be the biggest movie for Warner Brothers ever, which is pretty crazy to think. Did everyone think a Barbie movie was going to have that? Might have thought it might perform well, but definitely not that well. But I guess the way to look at it is that Barbie were making up a lot of the losses that were caused by The Flash. So they might be sitting there going like, damn, lost some money there, but Barbie's come and saved the day in her pink Corvette. Now, one thing of interest is that The Flash has just sort of been ignored by James Gunn, ever since it came out. Like, he spent a lot of time talking about it and when it came out, and unfortunately for some like myself, I wanted it to do well, but a lot of people wanted it to flop. But when it did perform badly, there was really no more talking about it from the James Gunn side of things. Maybe he just saw it and was like, well, why, attach myself to a sinking ship? And I know there was the argument that he is the DC studio's head. He sort of has to advertise it and talk it up, but he also had nothing to do with the movie. So he could have said hey, I enjoyed it and watched it, blah, blah, blah. But he had a lot of attachment to it, maybe hoping it would do well. And then you can sort of go, yay, I was a part of that as well. But it was sort of interesting. It was just interesting to see the the connection to it and then the immediate disconnection. However, it's not like he hated the movie and was lying, because he's hired Andy Muschietti to do Batman Brave and the Bold. So he must have liked something there. He definitely wasn't lying. But because of like James Gunn's like immediate disconnection, not really talking about the Flash as a character as a whole since the movie came out, there's been a lot of people questioning what's next for the character in James Gunn's eyes and if he has any plans there. And who knows if he has any like specific plans in regards to what happens with the Flash when he shows up next, whatever it might be. But I think it's pretty safe to say that Ezra Miller won't be playing the character. But then there are also some saying that Ezra might be continuing in the role, but there's like, those are like really like unfounded like reports and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's been nothing saying like Ezra Miller's out. It's sort of confusing what's happening. Obviously, we have the 2 strikes going on, so it's obviously going to be very difficult to talk about specifics in regards to that. So we're probably going to be waiting until either those are over by the end of the year or some period after that to learn more about it. But it's just interesting that nothing's been confirmed as of yet. But speaking of The Flash officially being out of theaters now, and potentially maybe some people's minds as well, it's coming to HBO Max, or Max, might I say. And it's sooner than you think. So it comes out on August 25th, which is this Friday. So there are probably going to be more people seeing it soon that haven't seen it yet. So it will be interesting to see what side of the fence they sit on in regards to whether they like it or not. There's always this weird trend when movies don't perform well in theaters and maybe they get crapped on, that then when they appear on like the specific streaming service, whether it's a HBO Max, a Disney Plus, a Paramount, whatever it is, Peacock. Is anything appear on Peacock? I don't know. When it appears on those type of things, then people go, oh, this was actually really good. Why didn't I see this in theaters? So who knows what the decision with The Flash would be for most people? Probably a flip of the coin. But unfortunately, the bad news keeps coming when it comes to DC films in the box office. And I feel like someone's going to have to perform some like ancient ritual to try and break the curse in regards to what is going on with these films. Because another film has fallen to the curse, and this time around, it's Blue Beetle. So unfortunately, and yes, that's the word of the day. We're going to go with that in regards to the word of the day, unfortunately. But yeah, unfortunately, it's flopped as well. And yeah, it is just the opening weekend. Things can turn around, but that is probably unlikely. And I actually haven't gotten the opportunity to see it myself. Like, it's sort of weird. The movie just isn't out in Australia at the moment. It doesn't come out for about another month, roughly. So that's a bit frustrating. Also, because Australia is one of the bigger movie marketplaces. Like, we're just referencing Barbie before. I think Australia is the 4th. And we got a 4th or 5th in regards to the amount of money that's come in for Barbie. So to take a market like Australia out, which, might not produce a ridiculous amount, but a decent amount, which contributes to your movie's box office, it's very weird. I think people forget how big of a country Australia is in regards to going to the movies. But yeah, we're like 4th or 5th for a lot of movies. So I don't know why it hasn't come out here. Apparently it's because of the Women's World Cup. But that ended last night from when I'm recording this video. So why couldn't it have come out at least maybe this coming week? So maybe a week later? I'm not too sure. And it comes out like 3 weeks before or 2 weeks before school holiday starts. So it's not because of that. So I don't know why it got delayed. It's actually really frustrating and annoying. I haven't actually seen a reason for it. But there is a weird chance if it keeps performing badly, if it keeps performing poorly, there is, I guess, a decent chance that it will appear on digital in other parts of the world before it even hits cinemas over here, which is crazy. That's crazy to me. But anyway. But yeah, the official opening weekend numbers, like box office wise, dropped. And the movie was number 1 in the world, or number 1 at the box office, and I guess number 1 in the world in most places, I guess. So a win is a win. But here's the kicker. It was only $25 million domestically, and it had like a worldwide total of $43.4 million. Now the budget, I guess, silver lining, the budget was just a tad over 100 million. It wasn't low like a Shazam or a Birds of Prey, so it has more work to do in regards to that. And I think this opened lower than both. I think this might be the lowest. I don't think it's the lowest DCU opening ever. I don't think, because there was those COVID movies. But this movie opened up lower than Shazam and Birds of Prey, and its budget was like $30 to $40 million more. But it does have a bit of a lower budget compared to most, so there is that chance, there is a bit of a tad of a hope that maybe they could perform and it could have a resurgence and it could break even, or at least it might have a better chance than The Flash. But that will be a wait and see. And yeah, we have one more like official entry in the DCU coming, which is Aquaman 2 or Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. But after that, we are taking a one-way trip to James Gunn's DCU. So if you've got a ticket, make sure it's legit, because I think we're jumping on the train and we're probably not looking back. And the thing is, I don't know if we have our first concern, if you want to put it, in regards to how James Gunn's DCU is going to perform, because it has been promoted and James Gunn said more than a few times openly on social media that Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle is his first character in his DCU. Not the Blue Beetle, the movie, isn't the first movie, but the character of Jaime Reyes and Jolo Maridueña's, portrayal of it, that's the first character in his DCU that we're seeing. So he's openly said that on multiple occasions. And unfortunately, that just didn't really do much to make people go watch the film and support it, as we've seen with these opening numbers. But to be fair, and this is something weird James Gunn did, he promoted and said, hey, this is the first DCU character, go support it. But then he also went and said, oh, but the movie, that's not canon. So yeah, there's no real reason to support the movie. If you've seen the trailers and you can see how he performs there, then that's enough, because we're not going to use anything from this movie as canon in what we're doing. So bit weird to go about it that way, but that was the way he went about it. Now, obviously, I think most people have their fingers crossed that Blue Beetle might have some sort of resurgence or at least get close to breaking even, if not maybe get a smidge over it. But the opening numbers aren't that great. So maybe it's just one of those things to watch the movie, appreciate it, go, I liked it. I like the movie. I like the character. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the DCU. A lot of people go to the movies and don't care about box office. I used to be like that until it affected maybe whether we actually get something going forward from that and a continuation. But I think with the DCU at the moment, it doesn't really matter. So if you like Xolo Maridueña's take on the character and what they did with Jaime and everything like that, that's what you should take from the movie. Who cares if it doesn't perform? Because I don't know if they necessarily had any plans for a sequel in James Gunn's DCU, but at least you know the character's going to be there. So regardless of box office performance, that character's going to be there. So if there's anything to take from the movie, that's probably what it is. But it's probably when we get into the DCU, starting in mid-2025, and beyond from that, where then we start going, okay, now we need things to perform, because we can't have Superman Legacy come out and, hit the floor and splat everywhere and no one goes watch it. No one goes to watch it, and same with some of the other movies. So those are the period where we have to, be paying attention to the box office numbers, because that's going to decide whether things keep happening, especially in this current climate of the box office where more things are underperforming, if not flopping, than performing well. I think the vast majority of the movies this year have not made money, and only a handful have. So hopefully 2 years from now, that climate has changed, but probably it might actually worsen, but that's a wait and see. But I guess one thing to look at it is that after Aquaman 2, we get pretty much a break of a complete year until Joker 2 comes out, which is already its own little disconnected standalone thing. And then we get over half a year after that until the set release date of Superman Legacy. So yeah, there are like 2 DCU shows of Creature Commandos, which is animated, and the Amanda Waller show, which we don't have a rough release date of, but it's apparently meant to come out before Superman Legacy. So those 2 shows are meant to come out before that, film universe properly starts. But as I said, box office is the concern for DC at the moment. The TV stuff always performs pretty well, if not very well. So that wouldn't be too much of a concern for them. It's the box office side of things where they have to sort of regain the audience's trust and make people want to come and watch their movies and pay money for them. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be awesome, you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Did you like The Flash? You're going to watch on HBO Max. Have you seen Blue Beetle? Unlike me, I can't see it until like at least a month away. So did you like Blue Beetle? Are you a bit disappointed by it? Or is it sort of met the expectations that you thought it might have had box office wise? And are you looking forward to seeing Xolo Maridueña's take on the character move forward into the DCU despite the, poor box office return? So yeah, let me know your thoughts in there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.